The hosts of bracketology are experts in nothing. They claim no advanced knowledge or profound insights. Instead, they are just three judgmental idiots who really like to bloviate their own opinions whenever given the chance. Take what they have to say with a grain of salt, or not at all. You'll probably be better off that way.
All right, fellas, this is our Murica bracket, right? We're kicking off going into 4th of July weekend. I'm curious, what was your 4th of July experience like as little children? Did you guys have like 4th of July like traditions?
Yeah. So my cousin was born on the 4th of July. And every year for the 4th of July, we would go over to their house and they would have like fireworks that we would set off. And these were Virginia fireworks, so nothing like fun. But we would go over there and have a birthday celebration and do the fireworks and everything. So that was kind of our tradition growing up. But it all centered around my cousin, Heather, and her birthday. To this day, I always send her a message that says, enjoy your fireworks for your birthday.
I don't know how many like traditions we had. My family most of the time spent 4th of July in Nebraska. So I spent most of the summer at my grandma's in Nebraska, and part of that included going to my Uncle Jimmy's for fireworks that he purchased somewhere and would set off in the street. So
could you get good fireworks in Nebraska?
I mean, he got like a bunch of mortars and all of the big ones, and so, the snakes were always my go-to because they were just fun to watch the ground shit a little black creepy snake guy. But other than that, yeah, I mean, it was fine. I do remember, so the first tattoo that I got, which is this thing, this tribal scorpion, it was 4th of July in Oklahoma. I was 16. This is not a tradition at all, but this is just random. That was the first time I ever did the oh fuck, now I can't think. The like sticks that shoot balls of fire.
Roman candles.
Yeah, Roman candles. It was the first time I ever did Roman candle wars.
Yeah, yeah. We had to go to North Carolina in order to buy Roman candles because you couldn't buy them in Virginia. But yeah, that was a big thing. And I remember, I can't remember who all it was, but I remember it was me and my buddy Steve. And he launched one and it hit another guy right in the face. And it exploded. I mean, looking back on it now, I am surprised that nobody was like blinded or seriously hurt. But I died laughing when that went off in that guy's face.
Did you know the other guy, or was it just some random dude?
It was like, there's kids in the neighborhood. I'm sure at one point I remembered his name, but at this point there's been too many firework explosions in my face that has probably done some
concussion via firework.
I definitely remember, I think it was like our senior year of high school after we graduated. We went to Myrtle Beach, went down there, and I came back with like a duffel bag full of fireworks that were not legal in Virginia. Growing up, we always went to the Salem Fair. We had a big county fair that came to the parking lot of the Civic Center the week of July 4th and that weekend, and we always went to that and did all the carnival rides and ate the funnel cake, and then they had the big fireworks show. There were a couple years where we went to like the spot where they shot them off from, and there was like a hill where you could like sit, like lay down and just like see them, I mean, right over your head. And that was always a good show for it. But yeah, you know, just the quintessential sketchy county fair with the rides held together by safety pins, and no question as to whether or not you were going to survive on them, but we rode them anyway.
All right, follow up. Weren't you a carny at one point?
I was not a carny at any point. No,
I feel like
Dan
you
was.
said you worked at a
Yeah.
carny.
Dan
Oh, was that you?
That was me.
Yeah, no, that makes way more sense.
Yeah.
Scott, did you ever have any accidents with the fireworks?
Not fireworks per se. I don't know what the statute of limitations on that story
Just
is.
arson? Like what?
Well, we found a method of kind of making like your own little homemade.
Wait. Did it
Yeah, you've
involve
definitely
aluminum
talked about this
foil
before.
and-
Yeah. And so like
We've done
I
those.
used that to blow up some things a couple different times. Maybe a mailbox, maybe some bushes, things like that. But I don't think I ever had any true firework accidents. We definitely, again, we had a bunch of illegal ones that, little bottle rockets and stuff. I had a bottle tip over one time when we were launching it. I think people had to jump and duck for cover, but I think everyone ended up all right. No one's lost any fingers. Maybe an eyebrow here or there.
So you did. I definitely, the first time I had black cats, I definitely didn't throw one fast enough. And it didn't feel good. I do have all my fingers. I am missing a couple fingertips, but that's not from fireworks.
That's from criminal activity and burning them off so they can't catch you.
No, not the actual like fingerprints, just the literal tips of these two fingers are cut off. Like, yeah.
I told you not to get mixed up with the Russian mob.
It's true.
Russian.
We warned you several times.
No, man, this is Estonia.
So you only partially listened to us.
Yeah,
You stayed away from the Russian mobs, Estonian mobs on the table.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I give an unpopular opinion?
You tend to do that on this podcast.
The Estonian mobs are the best mobs.
At this point in my life, I am a 36-year-old grown fucking man. I hate fireworks.
You hate fireworks?
I dislike fireworks. They're too loud. I have a dog, and he doesn't enjoy them. As somebody with anxiety, the loudness factor definitely is a big part to it. But in addition to that, like drone shows, way cooler than fireworks shows. It's way better for the environment. You can do so much more. Like I would love to retire all fireworks. Like just do drones. You know what I mean? They're way more destructive too, drones, than fireworks. Like you could blow up a whole tank with a drone if you want to.
Oh,
well, great transition into the Merc episode right there. How woke 2025 of you, Matthew.
Thank you.
And then you went that direction, and then you pulled it right back with blowing up tanks.
I mean, you've got to look the duality of man, right? The duality of drone.
A firework.
Pretty. Blow up.
So you don't. I mean, I can understand somebody who's not a fan of like handling fireworks and whatever, but you're not even interested in going to a show. You just want drones
the
everywhere.
show's the worst part. I'd rather have black cats than go to a show. Like I dislike the shows. Like all the traffic to get into a fireworks show and get out is way worse. And then to sit out there in the fucking heat, like the sun doesn't go down till like 9:30 anyway at that point, so it's still hot out.
Sorry,
and
2 hours after your bedtime.
And then you gotta. I'm up later than you two.
I was about to say it's 2 hours after my bedtime. Matt's still.
I'm just saying you sound like a grumpy old man right now.
But I mean, realistically, and then it goes off. Truly, the only good thing about a fireworks show is the smell in the air when it's done, because you get that like.
As long as it stays off your damn lawn, right?
Look, I don't think I'm alone in this. Realistically, maybe on this podcast I am, but I do. And it's just again, it's not good for the environment. You're just blowing shit up, and then there's just like refuse all over the ground.
Refuse.
He's bringing it right back to the woke 2025.
I totally understand. Ollie probably not being a fan of fireworks. I like fireworks. I think it is a fitting way to celebrate the independence of our country by blowing imaginary shit up in the air.
It's not
And
very
doing it in a
imaginary,
very
though.
colorful. Well, I mean, there's nothing actually in the air that's being blown up other than the fireworks themselves, but colorful displays of destruction. I think that is an apt celebration for our independence.
Sure. Yeah. Uh, I don't care. I mean, and I'll give a secondary unpopular opinion as we're going into our Murica bracket. I don't understand loyalty to boundaries and shit. I don't understand the undying blind. Oh, I'm American. I gotta be Murica.
Now
We
you're
are
going back to
alienating 90% of our listener base.
so now you're going back to 1960s woke, like John Lennon. Imagine there's no borders, right?
I mean, I'm just saying.
So here's my thought. We have a camping trip coming up. I say if the fire levels aren't red, we get a bunch of Roman candles and have a Roman candle war.
They absolutely will be red in July in Colorado.
Yeah.
Okay.
You won't even be able to say the word fire.
Before a leaf just ignites, just
Spontaneously combust.
just see a squirrel with a box of matches.
Its tail on fire as it runs through the woods.
I fucked up.
Hello, and welcome back to Bracketology, the podcast that definitively decides all things tournament bracket style. Show me your purple mountains, majesty. I am Scott Grubb.
We want you to share this podcast. I'm Matt Robinson.
And I'm red, white, and boom, Dan Default.
Mainly because of his ass. That's the boom.
My ass does bring the boom.
It's a low rumble. This week, we are getting ready for the July 4th weekend. It's coming up in just a couple days by starting off our most Murica bracket.
Most Americaist?
Most Muricaist? Most
I've got most Muricanist.
Most Muricanist. I think just the discourse and trying to figure out the name and saying it that way proves how Muricanist this bracket is. We have determined so far the 16 things that scientifically are as Muricanist as you can get, and we're gonna debate through this little mini bracket, 2 episodes, to determine the most Muricanist thing. Gentlemen, are you ready?
Oh, are you ready? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I am totally ready. Let's break into it as Matt does corn impressions.
Sure.
That's what that
Well-
was. Where we want to start? What we got?
I don't care.
Do we want to go over what the entirety of our bracket is?
Sure, let's do that.
All right, Dan. You made these matchups. What do we got?
All right. So starting on the west side of the bracket, we have the Bald Eagle versus Fireworks. The moon landing, whether you believe in it or not.
No.
Versus...
No.
No.
If
yeah.
you don't believe in it, you're not welcome
Stop
here.
Stop listening. Turn
Yeah,
it
there's
off.
no-
If you
there's
don't
no
think
whether
the
you
moon
believe it or not.
landing,
All right. So
Continue.
REM immediately stopped listening to this podcast.
that's fine.
All right. Moon landing versus Mount Rushmore. The Constitution versus the Super Bowl. Waffle House at 2 a.m. Versus Monster Truck. Sorry, that's a great matchup. Coming from the South, that speaks to me on a spiritual level. Then going over to the east side of the bracket, we have apple pie versus America's pastime baseball. Cheeseburgers versus the mullet. country music versus Hollywood blockbusters. And finally, we have a barbecue cookout versus NASCAR, which should be all uppercase, by the way.
We're correcting the... Okay. Live on air. There we go.
All right, I think we start on the east side of the bracket, basically because we colonized the country starting from east and moving west. I think we should start there.
We're about to show a little bit of our asses in this, I feel like, based on some of the things that Dan has already said.
That's a big component of what we do here, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, first matchup, apple pie versus baseball. What's most Americanist?
There's no question about this one. The
Really?
answer is apple pie. Baseball is no longer America's pastime, first of all. Second of all, it is much larger around the world than it is in America today.
Yeah, baseball is way bigger in Japan than it is in
And Mexico, Dominican Republic. It is no longer America's pastime.
No, pickleball.
But that being said, all the top players from all of those places we just mentioned come here to play because the MLB is the largest league, and it is housed in the U.S.
They come here to play because they get paid the most to play here.
Because the revenue that the MLB brings in is high enough to pay them that much. I'm just saying you can't discount baseball.
If I'm talking about the most Muricanist thing, baseball is no longer at the top of that list. There's a reason it's a number 8 seed.
Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle.
Yeah, in 1925, it's 2025, Daniel. We've got football. We've got pickleball. We've got cornhole.
Well, hold
we don't
on.
need baseball.
But also you have the Jackie Robinson story, right?
We
Sure,
do also
and I love it.
We do also have banana ball now, though.
Which is a way better version of baseball.
Revolutionizing the sport.
So this might be where my age is showing itself. I have no idea what banana ball is. It sounds like something you do.
We're gonna give the Savannah Bananas a shout out here because realistically, Scott, I believe, got some tickets to the banana ball.
I did. We had to go through like a multi-level sign-up process, identity verification. We had to be like on our toes, ready when the email came in so we could jump in and get in line right away. But they're doing 2 shows in Coors Field, and 2 games, and they sold out in like 2 hours. Like, I mean, just gone.
Here's the thing. We live in Colorado, right? Our baseball team, Colorado Rockies, is hot garbage. Has been since 2007.
Historically speaking, this season they're on a run for historically the worst team.
Yeah, the
ever.
worst
of
team.
all time.
Yeah.
The last time that I don't even know the last time a Rockies game sold out. 2 banana ball games sold out immediately.
This season.
They are one of the most attended baseball stadiums of all time.
Well, the stadium is so pretty too. Like,
the
it's
Rockies,
really nice.
The Rockies surprised the Yankees and won this earlier this season in front of a sellout crowd. So yeah, I saw people talking like, "Oh, I think the Rockies are finally going to sell after being so terrible." I'm like, no, why would they do that when they could be terrible and they still sell out? It's crazy.
Yeah. It's the worst management of all time. Anyway, but banana ball has surpassed baseball.
I would.
Again, in terms of being American, going out, getting people excited, like it revolutionized the game. Like,
sure. I mean, it's over the top. It's outlandish. It's you're
gonna have to just Google it, Dan.
It's more Americanist, I think, because of that. Yeah, but.
Apple pie is still more American than baseball.
And I saw a documentary once where you can have sex with an apple pie. So it was a documentary about it. It's
warm. Feels very simple. Wait.
I think it makes sense, right? American pie or apple pie, like
American
it's got
pie.
it's a little rough around the edges, right? It's got that firm crust, right? You think about like New York and California; those are some pretty firm, hard set areas. So you got your crust, and then you got the warm middle. You got the Midwest right there. I think apple pie is pretty reflective of us as a country.
And it's better with ice cream on top.
Canada.
Although I disagree. I don't think you need ice cream on top of it. Apple pie is the best dessert of all time.
Dude, some warm apple pie, some vanilla ice cream,
I mean,
and some
it's
caramel
good.
sauce on top. Nom, nom, nom.
No, you've gone too far. You don't need the caramel sauce at all.
I'm not disagreeing that it's good. I don't even need the ice cream, man. Just give me some apple pie. Give me some apple pie filling. That's all I need.
That
right.
is, in fact, the only way Matt eats fruits is apple pie.
Let's vote, because apple pie's got my vote.
I'm gonna go with baseball because I just it's hard not to get romantic about that game because of the history and the background, and again some of the stories that have come out of baseball. Yeah, I'm going.
I think I've already mentioned it, but I'd rather get romantic with an apple pie. So I'm going to say apple pie.
Right.
Apple pie gets the win. All right, what's next?
Cheeseburgers versus mullets.
Which is basically the entirety of Dan's 20s.
Yeah, two things that are very, very close and near and dear to my heart.
Especially cheeseburgers.
Yeah,
Still.
They are, in fact, clogging my heart as we speak. Man, cheeseburgers are so good. They are one of life's perfect foods. No matter what you prefer on your cheeseburger, my wife likes them pretty plain with just ketchup. I like a little accoutrement on my cheeseburgers that sometimes includes jalapenos because I like that little kick. But man, cheeseburgers are just so good. On the other hand, you have mullets, and we have in our past gone through and tried to pick out the best mullet.
Not going through and try. We did. We
did
scientifically decided
the best mullet, and all of the mullet contenders, American. So this is a tough. This is a tough battle.
Well, as determined in the previous episode, I hate the mullet. I dislike it. I love cheeseburgers. This is easy.
Yeah, but you can't go off of just the things that you like. This isn't Matt's favorite things list. This is the most Americanist list.
We're going to have this conversation every bracket.
So which of these things is the most Americanist?
Well, considering cheeseburgers were invented in Colorado, I'm going to go with cheeseburgers.
I'm going to need you to cite your sources.
Yeah, I don't think that's accurate.
Oh, you can hear the typing, the Googling in the background.
With the aggressively
He's just made it
loud
up.
Keyboard. Matt's keyboard.
Louisville, Kentucky, and Denver, Colorado, both have, as well as Pasadena, California, have all claimed to be the birthplace of the cheeseburger. Per Google. Don't know what to tell you. I'm not going to cite sources on here. It's true. Get over it. Either way, all three of those cities are American. It is born in America. It is American. When I think of, not even when I think, when other countries think of American food, they think of cheeseburgers and fried chicken.
Yeah, but when they think about American people, they usually
they don't
not a
mullet.
single one of them. No, not a single one of them immediately goes mullets.
No, they go overweight.
Yeah, fat.
That's
stupid.
That's the leading
illiterate.
The leading qualifier. If you ask someone from Europe, describe Americans, they say fat, which really leans in the favor of cheeseburgers.
And loud.
And awkwardly polite.
Are we?
Because it's fake.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Americans tend to have a fakeness when they are being please and thank yous and all that bullshit. when they're in other countries. And other countries recognize it. Anyway, cheeseburgers gets my vote.
Dan?
I mean, I think a mullet represents America. When I see uh, the stars and stripes waving majestically in the wind, right below that, I
Because
see
it's
a
been
mullet.
hairspray painted into the back of someone's mullet?
I see a mullet waving majestically in the wind.
I think that the mullet is more uniquely American in that no other country, like people from the other countries probably wouldn't stoop as low as to revere it the way that we do. I can't say that they haven't done it. I mean, David Bowie had one for a while. So, I mean, and I think Ringo Starr, some of the Beatles have had them. Paul McCartney, I think we discussed.
Well, I mean, they were really big in the 80s. Like, so many musicians had mullets in the 80s.
Yeah. Again, I think the thing that makes the mullet so American for us is, again, just the way that we revere the absurdity. I mean, again, just look at who we elected for president. We revere stupidity. But I have a hard time leaning into it that much. I lean into a cheeseburger, though. Like, I mean, again, put some bacon on it.
I'll fuck a cheeseburger.
Why is this like becoming things that you guys would have relations with?
It's a good point, Matt. Put some bacon on it, a little bit, or you want to you feeling crazy? Give me a little mayo, a little peanut butter. You can't go wrong with a cheeseburger.
Lot of
mayo and
grown.
peanut butter.
I think.
Speaking of something else that's very American, peanut butter.
Yeah, true. I think that the cheeseburger brings a diversity that really is representative of America, because again, you got the standard, right? The lettuce, tomato, onion, or pickle. You know, you can do bacon, you can do jalapenos and cream cheese. We went to the farmer's market this morning. We just bought this like jalapeno jelly, that with some cream cheese on a burger. Again, go wild. Little peanut butter on a burger, also delicious. That diversity that cheeseburger brings, I think, really represents Americanist in my head. I'm going to lean into diversity. Fuck ice. I'm going to go cheeseburgers.
Absolutely. Cheeseburgers with the fin. All right.
Country music versus Hollywood blockbusters. I think this one's pretty easy for me.
I think this one's pretty easy as well.
See, they are both so uniquely American.
No, they're not.
Just disagree entirely.
Wait.
Hollywood blockbusters are no longer meant for America.
And then you got Bollywood too, which is its own separate multi-billion-dollar industry as well. It's been replicated.
But that doesn't take away from the original. Hollywood blockbusters comes from Hollywood, California.
As America grows and ages and gets bigger and gets fatter, you know what else grows and changes? The world around us, and they take things, and that's okay. But Hollywood blockbusters are not made for the American people any longer. While the history is there, and it was at one point very, very American, like quintessentially American Hollywood blockbusters were. Now, Hollywood blockbusters are made for audiences in other countries. They are made to make money in China. They are made to make money in other places. They do, how do I put this? The biggest media company in the world makes movies to make money in China. Not here, not America, not for the American people. I mean, just the simple changes and backlash that you get from having a gay character in a movie, and then that gets changed, or having to cut scenes or whatever it may be, like that's for someone else, not for Americans. So country music, on the other hand, is very much America and American.
Yeah.
Like half the songs are about bullshit in America.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Hollywood blockbuster, it transcends, right? Every movie gets translated into tons of different languages. That's how, at the end of Finding Nemo, what is it, the Finnish version of it their word for end is slut, so it just comes up and says slut at the end of the movie.
Slut.
But then, like, I think of country music. I just picked a random country music singer that I like off the top of my head, and I'm looking at his like past tour dates, and you look at shows in the U.S., and I mean, he plays a lot of shows in the United States every year, and then you look at like other countries, and like he did in 2025, he did 2 shows in England. He did one in Germany. He did one in Ireland, 2 in Ireland, 1 in Norway. Like it's out there, but it's much more Murican.
I mean, even just the biggest musical artist in the last century or ever in Taylor Swift had to go outside of country to get outside of America, right? And then I just think country music is very much it's the heartland, right? I mean, there are songs literally about America that play on the fucking radio all the time. Whereas Hollywood blockbusters have gotten too far outside of the American pants.
All right. Are you guys ready to vote?
It sounds like it.
Yeah, country music.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a boot in your ass. It's the American way, country music.
Yeah, I'm also going with country music. Look, man, you can't have Dolly Parton and Garth Brooks and Hank
Name
Williams
a third one.
Jr.
Okay, there you go. I was like,
Did you say
FYI,
Uma Thurman?
no, I said name
No,
a
he
third
said-
one because you paused for a long time.
I'm gonna give just another today may be an unpopular opinion episode. You know what else I hate? Garth Brooks. Everything about him, all of his music.
Stop.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear
He's
any
the
more of it.
worst.
We have
He's terrible.
we have a friendship here.
you
And
can
if
take
you
that
keep
Rolling
going-
Thunder and shove it up your
Yeah,
ass. Bro.
you
Fucking
need to
hate
stop.
Garth Brooks
You need
music.
to fucking stop.
Yeah.
Look,
And this is coming from somebody that absolutely despises modern country. Like, modern country is pop with twang. It is manufactured and produced so heavily. Country artists now don't write their own songs. They have 15 credited writers for one shitty song. But man, Garth Brooks is the exception to that rule. He is an artist and fantastic.
nah, he can suck an egg. Barbecue cookouts and NASCAR up next.
This one I feel like is tough.
So here's the thing for me. When I'm thinking about these two, like, first off, I don't think barbecue, because that is a very specific type of like spice and meat combination. So are we talking about barbecue where it's like either vinegar based or whatever? That throws a little bit of, I think, variables in there that I can't really get behind. But NASCAR, even though I'm not a fan of the sport, NASCAR started from people souping up cars to outrun the cops while delivering moonshine. That might be the most American thing on this whole list, is that they created an entire sport for illegal liquor.
The barbecue cookouts, I feel like you can't just specifically talk about barbecue, right? Which is why barbecue cookout is on there, because it's more about the cookout than it is the food that's being served. When I think of going to a barbecue, I'm thinking there's going to be hot dogs, there's going to be burgers, there might be some chicken or some ribs or some brisket or something else. I think that is very, very American. I think that it is every time people get an opportunity to go out and like eat outside in someone's backyard, as they hear sirens going down the street, that is very much American. NASCAR, I don't understand it. Let me rephrase that. It's not that I don't understand NASCAR. I get it. You race around in a fucking circle. What I don't understand is people's obsession with NASCAR. I even have friends that enjoy it somehow, and no offense to them, but I don't fucking get it. It's dumb. It's stupid. It is very American.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like, if you really think about it, I mean, all the rubber and that goes into the tires and the fuel and everything that goes into like making a NASCAR event, it's incredibly wasteful for absolutely zero purpose whatsoever, except for the sponsorships and the money that goes into it. And that makes it really American. Like, just wasteful use of resources to damage the environment solely for the purpose of money.
And
I mean, that's pretty American.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with. What I will say though is, on a hot day, going over to your neighbor's house that you've talked to 3 times since you've lived there, into his backyard because he happens to have hot dogs and burgers on the grill. That's pretty American too.
I tell you, so every year on July 3rd, my father-in-law's, he lives in the middle of fucking nowhere in Colorado, in like a one stoplight town. And they do their, even for as small of a town it is, they put on a decent little fireworks show in the neighborhood or whatever. But but they do it on the 3rd because everyone wants to go in town for the real shows on the 4th. But it starts as just a big block party, and it's not like it's even a planned thing. It's just everyone throws up their garages, starts turning on grills, and the next thing you know, like, your grill is on, there's random meats from who knows what that's come over. People have brought over tables and just set up giant bowls with potato salad and veggie trays, and you know, because the whole neighborhood just, how do they just roam from house to house and graze, and you know, it's like the best kind of trick-or-treating, because you just go from house to house. You don't even knock on the door, and you're just walking around chewing on brisket, sipping a beer. Like, it's great. I love that. I'd love to bring some of that energy to my neighborhood, but our neighborhood's too stuffy. I
don't know that you get that in other places. Like, I truly don't know how frequently you have just an entire block of houses all with a grill on, you know, or even just one. Like, man, like Memorial Day, any opportunity where there was a long weekend and adults could just drink on a Sunday, there was a barbecue happening. Like, there was.
But there's also NASCAR on a Sunday, so you can drink.
Yeah,
and they tailgate with barbecue cookouts. Oh gosh, they're so intertwined.
They are.
That's the thing, is that you can, and it happens every race, have a barbecue cookout at a NASCAR race.
But you can also go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, people will buy a NASCAR to turn it into a grill.
That's true. I've seen that.
But in addition is just tailgating in general.
I was going to say, you can have a barbecue cookout at a tailgate at a football game. If I didn't have a wife and kids and responsibilities, I would probably head up to Red Rocks right now for the show I have tonight, just to tailgate and sit out there and have a barbecue cookout in the parking lot for most of the day, because people do that for Red Rocks shows, and it sounds like a good time.
The last football game Dan and I went to, what did we do before the game, Dan?
Yeah, we had a tailgate and a cookout. Scott, we could absolutely do that today, too. I've got my grill.
Yeah, but again, wife, kids, responsibilities. I don't think I can leave right now. I'm supposed to be taking the kids to the pool before we go to the show tonight. I think the barbecue cookout transcends events. It's like, it's a part of our July 4th celebrations, Memorial Day celebrations, Arbor Day celebrations, you know, whatever. It's a tailgate for every event. It's a broad brush, but so is America. She's a broad lady.
But again, NASCAR started from a bunch of rednecks in the woods souping up cars to outrun police for
but
bootleg and moonshine.
In the grand scheme of things, it's fast cars going real fast in a circle. You got F1 in other countries that do basically the same thing, and they do it faster. They do it better. You rally car racing, more exciting to me.
They turn right.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
The only
but
thing that NASCAR has in its favor
again-
that puts it over other racing types is that it's too stubborn to make right-hand turns. They only go left. The stubbornness built within NASCAR is Murican.
yeah, I'm just saying.
I'm going deviled eggs and baked beans. I'm saying barbecue cookouts more American.
I'm going NASCAR, dude. The beginnings of NASCAR is the most American thing.
I'm not trying to shit on all of Dan's choices, but it is a barbecue cookout. I mean,
I think Dan has a very clear picture. He
Yep.
has his image of America is very rooted in Alabama.
yeah,
No,
there's
not
no
Alabama,
other.
bro.
He doesn't even allow others to intrude on his view of America. That's how American his view is. It's guns and fences, barbed wire, and
White
fucking
picket.
electricity.
All right. Barbecue cookout moves on. Bald eagle versus fireworks.
Here's another unpopular opinion. I already said one about fireworks. I think the bald eagle is the worst eagle.
I didn't.
As compared to like golden eagles,
Golden eagles, the harpy eagle is more terrifying.
they're
I mean-
all terrifying. They are massive birds with huge claws,
Sure.
talons.
It's not even the best kind of fucking raptor. Give me
I
a falcon
had-
or a hawk over an eagle all day.
I fed a golden eagle once, and it was absolutely terrifying.
The bald eagle shouldn't have even been our national bird. Who was it? Ben Franklin wanted turkeys,
Turkey. Yep.
which I mean, why wouldn't we? Why, you know what I mean? But at the same time, hate fireworks. So
Hold
what's
on.
more American?
If Ben Franklin had gotten that to go through, would turkeys have then become a protected species like bald eagles are now? So we wouldn't be able to have like turkey dinners for Thanksgiving and, you know, a
That
nice
would be
Christmas
absolutely
turkey?
fine for me.
Yeah,
I hate turkey.
I can eat ham. I don't care.
Also,
Right.
turkeys are very intimidating. When you come across a turkey unbeknownst to you, like you just walk out your front door and there's a turkey right there, which
Or
does happen,
26 of them.
which is more frequent.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. You're like,
Yeah.
what the fuck do I
Dude.
do?
I grew up
Now-
in the woods, man. I remember as a kid one time going to like check the mail. We had to go like down our driveway to the bottom of the hill. And I opened the door to go out the house and there was like 26 turkeys in our yard. And it was no idea. We never saw them other than that one time.
Right.
Just wild turkeys that lived up in our woods, I guess.
When I was
Um,
growing up, there was a turkey farmer that lived near me. So I would frequently get on my bike and ride to where they kept all the turkeys. And I would just go, and they would all in unison sing back to me. It started my journey as a redneck Disney princess.
Plus turkey smut, right? I mean,
What?
look, I don't think that bald eagles are a protected class because they are America's bird. I think they're a protected class because they're an endangered species.
Mm.
Could we have gotten there with turkeys? Sure, but we could still get there with turkeys. But I do hate fireworks. And in addition, I want to point out fireworks, they're not only used in America,
No, not
right?
at all.
Yeah.
Whereas bald eagles are only Americans' bird.
I'm pretty sure the record for the largest firework mortar is held in Japan. I believe I saw a video of that.
That would not surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's
But even-
more impressive firework displays. The Sydney Bridge every year at New
Oh,
Year's,
yeah.
that's an impressive firework display.
We didn't even invent gunpowder, right?
No, that's
Like,
Chinese.
yeah. Fireworks came from there.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
we took it and made it louder and more aggressive, which I feel like is pretty American.
I mean, it is, but it's hard to claim fireworks as being Americanist when
If you didn't
even
create it.
England uses them regularly. Like it's not, and not creating it, and not like America created the bald eagle, but we did idolize it and
Mhm.
make it a fucking symbol.
Yeah. Well, and we
even though it has questionable moral behavior. Oh, now okay, now I'm leaning more toward bald eagle after thinking about it that way. It has questionable. Part of the arguments against the bald eagle as being a national icon is that it had quote bad moral character. It was seen as late to being too lazy to fish for itself, and that it had scavenging habits, which I get why Ben Franklin wanted to lean away from it for those reasons, but the more and more I think about who we are as a people, like I see the reflection of it.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, because they will swoop down and grab a fucking hawk after it has fished.
Yeah.
It is very American. It is. I'm going to go bald eagle.
Dan.
I'm also going bald eagle.
Yeah,
it's hard to fight that.
Yeah.
Just the profile of that bald eagle with the white head and the big beak and those mean looking eyes.
I mean, I also think bald eagles, they're not even like the prettiest bird. You know what I mean?
They are pretty though.
I don't know. I did, not to completely derail us. One time I was driving. If you live in Colorado, there's a highway up north called Highway 34. Goes between Estes Park and Greeley and beyond. But I was driving between Loveland and Greeley, and I looked over, and there was just a bald eagle going the same speed at me, about 25 feet away. It was actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I still don't like them. I still think they're not the best. So next up, the moon landing, which did happen empirically, versus Mount Rushmore, which I don't think this one's as unpopular. I think Mount Rushmore is the most boring fucking sightseeing event to go to.
Yeah.
But I think that because I remember growing up and you see all these pictures of Mount Rushmore and it just looks absolutely massive. But when you actually go there, it's very small from where you're allowed to like be and see it, and it's kind of disappointing, which in and of itself is pretty American. But the fact that this is so bad, we took that land. It was, a sacred mountain to the indigenous people of that area. And we basically carved Caucasian ass dudes' faces on the side of their, mountain. That's pretty American too. But on the moon landing side, we invented rockets that would carry us to the moon and back. And I mean,
now there's two things that I want to say about the moon landing real quick before Scott comes in with his dream shatter hammer. One is that the moon landing is the epitome of American patriotism. Like, it is the last and potentially the only thing that has like truly united all of America. Because it was like, oh shit, well, we got to beat them goddamn Russians to the moon. And we did. And it was very, very, it was big for us. Like, that was a big thing. I mean, you talk about any history in the 60s, the first thing that's going to come up, no matter where you're at, is the Americans landing on the moon. And that is just American. Like, we're going to be first, even if it means nothing. Even if there's nothing there for us to take.
well,
even if it's just about putting our flag in the ground, we will be there first and we will beat you.
there was also an entire division of creating those rockets for ballistic purposes, like transcontinental rockets that could go from us to Russia. That was a huge reason why all of that money was invested. Yes, it's nice that we have our flag up on the moon and those little reflector dishes that can shoot, send lasers back to us. But there were military implications behind everything that pushed that, which again, pretty American.
Now, my argument. Sorry, I have an argument against the moon landing, but continue.
It was a huge moment in humanity, right? We put one of our terrestrial beings on the closest thing that was not our planet in our solar system. That is an incredible achievement. We were able to get somebody to survive in the vacuum of space and deal with the gravitational forces of both the Earth and the Moon, to land somebody, let them walk around, collect some samples, plant a flag, and get back safely in the 60s. It's pretty incredible.
So my argument against the moon landing being very American is that most of the scientists, I feel like it's pretty well documented, most of the scientists that really helped to make things like that operate were transplants from other countries. They were Germans, right? They were, especially after World War II, and defectors from the Nazis and all of that kind of stuff. Like, without them, we would not have been. Well, we would not have been I don't think the first country on the moon, but even that is kind of American.
Yeah.
Until the last 6 months.
I think that it is a highlight of our scientific achievements, and it's kind of the peak, and then it's gone downhill since there because we've allocated funding for other things. I think, to me, the scope of kind of what we talked about with Mount Rushmore being, questionably claimed land. It's made out to be this majestic, grandiose thing, but then ultimately when you get there, it's kind of disappointing. I think that really encapsulates the Americanist experience. I feel like the moon landing, I don't know, there's a lot of patriotism and pride involved in it, which, again, very Americanist, but I don't know. This one is a bit of a coin flip, I feel like.
Yeah.
I think for me, and I'm going to say this and then end with my vote, and it's about your perspective, right? So I think both of these things are equally American, but Mount Rushmore is the negative side of America, and how we took the land and kind of defiled what it was to the indigenous people that had it, by making it an homage to, again, colonizers. So not super great. It's pretty disappointing, but we make it out to be this amazing achievement. It's not.
You've convinced me. Mount Rushmore gets my vote.
But on the flip side of that, the moon landing, I think, represents the hope and optimism and things that we can do when we aren't divided and we work together. I think, JFK had a very clear vision.
Ask not what your country could do for you.
Before his trip to Dallas, he had a very clear vision about what he wanted us to do in that space, pun intended, and accomplished it. And it was an amazing accomplishment. And when you think about the fact that the first Wright brothers flight wasn't even that long before the moon landing, and how much of a technological jump we made in that time period, that was American innovation when America's innovation was thriving. Not everything culturally was great back in those times, but the innovation was there. So I think that there's a hope and optimism and proof of what we can be. And then on the flip side, you have, the example of what we can also be on the bad side. So me personally, I'm going with hope because I am an optimistic person. Going with moon landing. Buzz uh, Armstrong's famous words: "One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." I got his.
I'm
name
so
wrong.
glad that is recorded. I am so.
Buzz
We're gonna.
Lightyear.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. How many times would you need to try before you actually got his name right? Do you think?
6 or 7.
Okay. All right. I'm not gonna watch. I'm just gonna let you keep going on like it's Buzz Armstrong. I'm gonna give you shit for that for a while.
Yep.
I'm glad you said that. Matt, how you feeling?
I mean,
Okay, I want to feel the kind of optimism and pride that Dan does. I long for it. But it's really tough in this day and age. Like, to me, I see the moon landing, like I see the positivity and the hope and everything that you're talking about. But then my question is like, what have we done with it? Did we squander it? Because it feels like it's been squandered, right? Like we don't lead in innovation in those spaces anymore. And it's that's what I mean. Like by the peak of it, it was the peak of American pride. It was the peak of our being a leader from a technological standpoint in the world. We're not that anymore. Whereas Mount Rushmore, again, it's we made something that has a permanence to it, and we talk it up like it's grandiose, and we tout it, and we're loud about it, and then but when in reality it's not all we make it out to be, and that I feel like maybe through my jaded viewpoint is more where I am as an Americanist at the moment.
You can have the hope and optimism that I do.
Not in this economy.
It starts with you. You got to look at the man in the mirror. You got to ask him to change his ways.
The man in the mirror looks a whole lot like one of the dudes that's on Mount Rushmore. So I think I'm going to go with Mount Rushmore on this one.
I mean, I think what it really boils down to is not what I want America to look like, but what does America look like?
What is it?
And the answers for that, because while Dan may be optimistic, I try to be realistic. The answer is we look like colonizers. We look like people who defile other groups' things. We look like people that put our face on something and then expect other people to bow to it, no matter how shitty it actually is. Yeah, I think I got to go with Mount Rushmore. I do think that it is. It's
most Americanist.
It is most Americanist, because why wouldn't we put our faces on something and expect everybody else to just look at it and know they're great?
I mean, to that point, the moon landing was reactionary because we weren't the first ones in orbit.
No.
And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, shit, we need to... Yeah, that's Mount Rushmore. All right, what do we got next?
The Constitution versus the Super Bowl.
I don't think this one's close.
Now, I think, as I mentioned earlier in this bracket, baseball is no longer America's pastime. Super Bowl is the most watched event every single year on TV. It is the most waste of money that you can give to everything. The advertising, the teams, the fucking tickets are absurd. Like, if you want to be within a 3-mile radius of whatever stadium the Super Bowl is at, you are going to lose money. It is it's wild. It is American. It is America's sport at this point, is American football. The Constitution, I would love to say that's the most Americanist. I would love to say it, because that means that we're actually doing things in a positive light as a country. I can't say that. I cannot say it.
Yeah, I think it's a point of discourse and debate. It's one of the people like to cherry pick parts from it and ignore other parts to justify their points, which does feel very American. But like, even when you think about just the idea of a constitution, like there's a shit ton of countries that have constitutions. Like there's a constitution is not a uniquely American thing. That's that's how.
But without this Constitution, we wouldn't have America.
Yeah,
Well, I
you
think
could
the
say the same thing
Declaration of
about Croatia's
Independence,
constitution and Liberia's constitution and
even
Armenia's constitution. Like,
state constitutions, like
I mean, I get that. I don't know. I get that other countries have constitutions.
you know what no other country has? A Super Bowl win. United States, undefeated world champions in the Super Bowl.
54 and 0, 58 and 0.
58 and 0. Doesn't
I
get
lost
much
a
more
couple
American.
years.
Doesn't get much more Americanist than that, you know?
Not just that, but then getting not just angry, but absolutely pissed off at the other people that support a different colored team.
Well, now you could say the same thing about the Constitution with that, though.
100%.
Sure.
Red versus blue.
I'm not disagreeing with that. All I'm saying is that I would love for it to be more American. I would love for, let me rephrase that. I would love for America to actually care about those kinds of things if I'm looking at hope and optimism. But the fact is, at the end of the day, if that guy's got a Chiefs jersey on, I'm going to piss on his grave at the end of the year.
That's kind of fucked up.
I will now to its point, we do have the oldest recorded constitution. We don't have the longest. Fun fact, the U.S. Constitution, 7,762 words. Constitution of India, 146,385. But we do have the first. It was the
So
first
it's not
one
even the
ratified.
fattest. Like, you can't even...
It's something we pride ourselves on.
Something we...
But the hyperbole behind the Super Bowl, again, 58-0. I mean,
just how big it's become, right? Like how, again, we talk about like advertisements. It is one of the only things that people actually want to watch the commercials while they're watching it. The halftime show in and of itself has become a thing within the Super Bowl, right? Like it's its own concert. Like
it's a moment within a moment.
And it's huge every single year. Most TVs are purchased the day before the Super Bowl than any other day of the year, which is exactly American. And the most TVs are returned to stores the day after the Super Bowl.
The best time to buy a TV is early March. It's when the most sales are.
It's 100% because they have a bunch of TVs they got to resell.
That or Black Friday.
It is all very American. I think as this bracket has gone on, Dan has looked sadder and sadder and sadder.
I have optimism and hope, right? I know that we are not necessarily in America's brightest days with the Cheeto and Queef in charge, but I will say that the Constitution provided amazing guardrails for us as a growing country. And
for about 50 years, I would agree.
We have been able, longer than 50 years, because we have been able to add amendments to that Constitution so that as things got better, as we made progress as a society, those progressions could be put into law. Now, is it perfect? No. We are not a perfect people, far from it. But if we, I don't know, I think more optimism. I think we would not have America if it weren't for the Constitution. I think the Constitution, especially when it was written, was absolutely beautiful. We the people, right? I think that it truly encapsulates what America should be.
I want to be there with you, Dan, but my optimism is called an antidepressant. And I want to be there, but you have to be able to take the blinders off and look around.
Look, I don't think that you can truly love something unless you fully understand both the good and the bad parts, right? I understand that we have a terrible history. I understand that we do some terribly dumb shit. But I also understand that we have accomplished amazing things as a society and as a people. I think when times are darkest, the brightest people can shine. And I think that is the hope that I hold to, that we are in dark days, but the sun will rise again. And it's because of things like the Constitution.
And I think that realistically, there are other places in this world that are doing that 100 times better than America is doing. Because yes, it's shitty and it's dark right now, but you know who's shining the brightest? The loudest fucking people, because we've created institutions to allow them to do so. Whereas you look across the sea and you look at like people in Ukraine who are proud to be Ukrainian and fighting a literal war, but they are still standing up every single day. Whereas at least half our country is afraid to go outside, is afraid to be around people who are supposed to be their protectors. I mean, again, I would love it. I really would. But if we're talking about what is most American, when I look around right now, it is the biggest distraction of the year, and that's the Super Bowl.
Balls, man. It's going to be really interesting to see I feel like the Bracketeers' reaction to this episode, whether more people feel the optimism and the pride that Dan's carrying, or if everyone's jaded and broken.
Like Matt, you could put like Matt is.
I was thinking more like, I was going to say like us, but I didn't want to necessarily loop you in with me without your consent. Come here. I got a dog trying to climb me. I just, like, on one hand, I do want to say the Super Bowl because I think the hyperbole and again the 58-0 is very Americanist, but like the Constitution being imperfect and broken, I feel like is a pretty representative of who we are these days, because we're imperfect and broken. But man, the debate and the discourse that surrounds it, again, just the cherry picking of shit, because becomes such a, I don't know, a difficult thing. And then the way that we don't even really regard it, or I don't know, some of those imperfections are so imperfect that it's got us to this point that we are broken, right? Like, we put this age limit on being president at the low end, but we need one on the high end. That's an opportunity within the Constitution. The second I think SNL did a whole skit about this when Nate Bargatze was the host. But like the second,
you're talking about the one where they're on the boat and he's just like he's George Washington.
No,
he's like, we're gonna make it dogs.
No, but I know where you're good. They did a different one that was around colonial times with him. I think it was him, but it was them like writing the Constitution, and they finished the First Amendment, and then one of the characters was like, guns. And it's like, that's the second most important thing in the entire creation of our country and designating who we are. The second fucking most important thing that those dumbasses could come up with was guns. Like, and then here we are, what, almost 300 years later?
250 next year.
250 years later, and look at the problem that has caused. Like, but our stubborn unwillingness to change it because of the money that's involved, that's pretty Murican too. Fuck. And when you think Super Bowl, like, yeah, it's big and spectacle and all that, but so is the World Cup. I'm sure cricket's big in India. I don't know. They have an equivalent, I bet.
Cricket is the biggest sport outside of football, like non-American football. Cricket
I don't
is
like
the biggest
it.
worldwide sport.
I don't like it, but when I think of Americanist, I do think of like broken and imperfect, and so I guess Constitution gets my vote. I'm not a fan of it, but it makes most sense to me, I guess. Plus, I feel like Dan should win one of these eventually.
I have been losing quite a lot.
You have a very different. It's clear that you have a very different picture of America.
Well,
from Matt and
I have the same picture. I think I just have more hope.
Maybe. I guess that's it. All right. Speaking of places where there is no hope, Waffle House at 2 a.m. or Monster Truck Rally.
This is another one, man. Like, Waffle House, especially at 2 a.m., is so uniquely American because it's the only place where you can get a pretty good breakfast meal and an assault and battery charge all in the same stop.
I don't think that's true because Denny's and IHOP both exist as well.
Yeah, but it is much more likely that Waffle House is where that will happen.
Dude, the Denny's in the town that we came from was closed for being a drug den and a prostitution sting.
Yeah, granted, but the Waffle House, like the Denny's closed down because that's bad for business. Waffle House has that happen, and they stay open because that is the business. And that is, again, so uniquely Waffle House and so uniquely American. But then on the flip side, you have monster trucks. And, we like to make, especially I say we as people from the South, we like big, loud, obnoxious trucks. So they made it a multiplier by creating monster trucks that crush other cars. Like, I've seen monster trucks that float on water and, a guy takes it out into the ocean and it's absolutely ridiculous. That is pretty American too. And Scott, let me ask you, because the Roanoke Civic Center would have monster truck rallies. Did you ever go to one of those?
I have not once ever in my life been to a monster truck rally.
Me either, but I remember the commercials vividly coming on the radio. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday at the Roanoke Civic Center. Come see Monster Jam.
Matt, what you got? You look like you're holding something back.
I think everybody knows my feelings on monster trucks.
How the fuck would everyone know?
I don't know your feelings on monster trucks at all.
Well, sounds like y'all don't pay attention. But, what's interesting is, I think you're absolutely right, Scott, is that Dan does have a very specific view on Americanism, and he said it in his statement, which is the South. Yeah. Not all of us are from the South.
That's true.
For example, Waffle House is only available in half of the U.S. states.
Monster Jam goes everywhere.
Monster Jam goes fucking everywhere. I've been to Monster Jams. I've been to monster truck rallies.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting that out of the three of us, Matt is the only one that's been to a monster trucks rally.
Yeah, I've taken kids to go see monster truck rallies. I've gone myself. I could name 3 fucking monster trucks right now. Not gonna. That is wholeheartedly American. Waffle House is wholeheartedly Southern.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it was diners at 2 a.m., yeah, I'd probably go that route, but I'm going to go monster trucks.
I don't think... Because here's the thing, and I don't know to you, Dan, what part of the Waffle House at 2 a.m. experience is necessarily Muricanist. Like, Is it the getting greasy food while inebriated thing? Because it's not. That's not unique to Waffle House. That's Del Taco here. That's In-N-Out in California. That's pizza in New York. Like that, you know, it's a that varies across the country. Waffle House, as Matt says, very southern. If it's the potential to get an assault charge at 2 a.m. while intoxicated, again, you don't need a Waffle House for that. I'll punch you in the face in the middle of the street. You specifically,
Tonight.
yeah,
But you can't get your hash browns smothered and covered
you can
while getting
you
the assault
100%
and battery.
can. I went when I was just in Arkansas last week with family. We went to a place that was not Waffle House, and they called it loaded instead of smothered and covered, but it was the same thing. I got my hash browns that way.
But Arkansas has 45 Waffle Houses.
I didn't go to a Waffle House.
Just
I didn't
saying.
I went to somewhere that was tastier and better. Waffle House has its uses. Sure, 2 a.m. drunken breakfast is one of them. Determining how severe a hurricane was is also one of them. But I'm going back, kind of thinking about the NASCAR thing, the waste, the excess, the grandiose spectacle that feels more Americanist to me. And again, it's more nationwide. I couldn't tell you where there's a Waffle House near me right now, but I know that Monster Jam's coming to both Ball Arena and Broadmoor World Arena this year. I'm probably going to end up going to it because I have kids who want to go. Waffle House is if we were debating most redneck, most southern, something to that effect, Waffle House would certainly be on that list. Most likely to be in a World Star video, sure, Waffle House. But as far as Murica goes, that the excess, the loudness, the
Wanting destruction.
The wanted destruction, that monster trucks feel more Ryder, which in turn is most Americanist. So I'm going to say monster trucks in this one as well. Dan, would you care? Or do you? I mean, we outnumbered you in the vote already, but what would you say? Where do you land?
Look, I have a special place in my heart because of Waffle House, or for Waffle House, because Waffle House, in my opinion, has saved my life on more than one occasion. That being said, it is not about me and my likes. Monster trucks are absolutely the more Americanist thing in this. It's got to be monster trucks.
So why did you fight? Let's peek behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Because I said multiple times it should not be Waffle House on this list.
Yeah.
Why did you fight so tooth and fucking nail to make it Waffle House specifically? If it doesn't even win the first vote from you, why did you fight so goddamn hard?
So here's the thing, like, you could have put Denny's or Joe's Diner.
I didn't want to put I wanted to put diners.
Yeah, you could have, but Waffle House has that brand recognition, and it is Waffle House specifically that I think has the reach and the association with that 2 a.m. violence that no other diner has.
I wholeheartedly disagree. There's been all kinds of weird shit that happens at IHOPs, and those are in almost every state in the United States.
Yeah, but it's not like you go in and you sit down, you don't see your food being cooked, you don't see the person smoking the cigarette, scrambling your eggs.
You shouldn't see that anywhere anymore.
But again, that's what makes Waffle House unique.
Just because you don't see that bad shit happening doesn't mean that
doesn't mean it's not happening.
That's America.
I get it, but being brave enough to do that while the customer is literally on the other side of the counter looking directly at you, that's pretty America too. All
right. Well, after Dan has lost 7 of 8 battles today.
Yeah. Rough go this round.
I feel like Dan needs a Bracketology sponsored road trip around America.
I feel like both of you need some hope enemas
I would love it. Give it to me.
I would love
Give
it
me
if you
some
could
fucking
squirt
hope.
something in my butt and make me more hopeful. I would take it.
Truthfully, I would do just about anything
Put
for
that
it.
on a fucking t-shirt. Squirt something in my butt and make me more hopeful. I'll wear that t-shirt. I won't wear that t-shirt. Anyway, the fuck are we? All
Hey,
right.
Pride's coming up.
That's true. Yeah, there we go. Hope you all have a wonderful and safe 4th of July. Enjoy your apparently overrated fireworks. Have a great time at a barbecue cookout. Listen to some country music. Eat some cheeseburgers. Have some apple pie.
One way or another.
One way, yes. However you like to enjoy your apple pie, enjoy it deeply.
Choke out a bald eagle at Mount Rushmore.
Yes, exactly. And then wrap it in the Constitution.
Don't do that last
and
part. Pet a bald. Don't even pet a bald eagle. Admire a bald eagle from a safe distance so that you and the eagle don't get hurt.
Next week, we will see if we still have all of our fingers while we finish off the most Americanist bracket. Thank you for listening. I hope you played this during your 4th of July party for all of your friends. That would probably suck, but I'm going to encourage you to do it anyway. Hey guys, I've got this great podcast we can listen to. Anyway, thank you to Aaron O'Donnell for the music here at the beginning of every episode. You can find it on Aaron O'Donnell Music on YouTube. Thanks for listening. Join us on social medias. Is that all of it? That's everything. That feels like an episode. I think we're done. That was
an episode.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for showing me your Purple Mountains, Majesty. I'm Scott.
It is wanton destruction.
That's what I said. He said wanted.
I know. I realized it. Wow, you
mad.
waited a long time to get that correction in.
Yeah.
I had to get it eventually.
And now I'm red, white, and blue because these guys, I'm Dan Default.
Bye-bye.